My name's Johnny of Hollywood Undead.
Yep. And are you Johnny Two Tears? Three Tears.
Three, bro. What the last
I
guy who called me
know.
two tears got shanked.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, dude. I kind of like it.
But congratulations. I know you have a new album coming out real soon.
Yeah, we just got the copies of them today. Pretty cool, man. Releasing a record's still one of the highlights of being in a band because you don't get to do it very often. So
Yeah.
super happy, super stoked.
Because what album is it? It's gonna be album 8? Something
Yeah,
like
the eighth record, dude. Damn.
Yeah.
All coming to an end soon, though. Nothing to worry about.
No, no, no.
Oh yeah, these records are starting to really suck.
How come?
I'm just kidding, dude.
Oh, but that's
It's actually probably my second favorite album we've done, which is saying something after all this time. So you
well,
got the copy right here, Hollywood Undead, Hotel California,
I like it.
ready to go.
That's
I'm
nice.
planning on giving it to some people out in the street, getting it out a little early so it gets leaked, just to the label over, bro.
Well, you've had some singles released already, and they've been doing pretty well in terms of views.
Yeah, no, I know. You're always putting. It's a different time than when we started, where you try and save as much as you can for the album because people buy them now. That's not the case. So putting out as many songs as you want is the norm.
Does that make it easier or harder? Because I know back when you started, back in the early, like 2005, 2006, it was all album driven, but now it's singles.
Yeah, I mean the whole industry has completely done a 180 since when we started. I mean, and we were at the tail end of the age of records and record sales. So I can only imagine what it would be like, 25, 30 years ago. But yeah, the whole thing's upside down. I mean, streaming is the most prevalent way people listen to music now. And obviously when we started, that didn't even exist. So we just kind of go with the flow, the ups and downs, and wherever it takes us.
Yeah. Because I've been reading some press regarding this album. I mean, you go really personal because this really does talk about, where you when you started, because you didn't start, you struggled.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of any bands that don't struggle, but we certainly got the end of the stick for a long time. I mean, just trying to get a label, you work really hard to finally get, because at that point, major labels in particular were kind of the gatekeepers, and there was no way to get music out without them, at least to a degree. So you finally get one to pay attention, and then you make a record and they go, oh, we don't really like this, and then they shelve you. So it's like, you think you've kind of won the war at that point when you get, you're on Interscope or Warner Brothers or whatever. In reality, what you don't understand is that's just the beginning of the whole thing. Now you got a whole different war to fight and stuff. So the fact that we made it through all that era, and we're still making music and still doing what we love to do. I mean, we're pretty fortunate because I don't think it's very common. To have a 20-year career in music, I think is pretty rare. So I got nothing but gratitude.
Because it seems like, for the most part, I know you've had kind of the same lineup, barring one person, the consistency, because you don't see that too often either.
Yeah, I mean, well, dude, it's hard. It's like being married to, your buddies. It's a tough relationship to maintain. Especially, I mean, I honestly spend more time with the guys in my band than I do my actual wife. So, there's always going to be you're in small spaces together. You're also creating together. So ego gets involved and pride gets involved. So, if you've ever been in a band, it's not a big mystery as to why they don't last very long, because there's a lot of dramatic situations you're involved in, a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes it just it becomes the weight, it gets a little too heavy to bear. But we're pretty fortunate. I've been best friends with most of the guys in the band since we were little kids, preschool era. So we had a good foundation of friendship before we ever started writing music together. And even that, we've had our moments where it's like, dude, this, I don't want to do this. We've gotten close plenty of times. And then on top of your own inner dialogue drama, you have record labels, and a lot can go wrong. So you definitely have to be doing music for the right reason, which is the just right. You want to write meaningful songs, and you want people to care about them as much as you do. And if your head's in the right place, and that's why you're doing it, you'll make it. But outside of that, nothing's guaranteed.
Sure. Well, because I know Hollywood Undead is very theatrical. I know you wear the masks and stuff. Why do you wear masks?
We don't anymore. We dropped the mask 2 albums ago because we really couldn't think of anything creative to do with them at that point. The reason we wore them is really actually more graffiti driven than anything, as we were really into graffiti in LA and stuff like that. It kind of gave us you know, the aesthetic of the way they looked and what we could do with them was very appealing to us. And you look at bands and it's just a bunch of dudes with tattoos trying to look tough, and that whole shtick is not something we're interested in. So we wanted to add another element. So that's why we did it, is to individualize it. And then a lot of us love to draw. We love to write, especially graffiti art and stuff like that from when we were young. So it gave us another creative outlet to do something with those said masks.
Well, because that's interesting, because I know, first of all, you're one of the few bands that are native Los Angelinos. I mean, you're native to
Yeah.
And I mean, you really got into that culture, the graffiti culture, the street culture.
Yeah, I mean, if you grow up in an urban inner city area of LA, you're bound to encounter it, and we all did. So that was a big part of our upbringing and stuff. So it definitely poured over in our music and to the other aspects that we brought into the band. There's not a lot of native Angelinos left. So normally when people say, where are you from? And I say here, and they go, no, but originally. And I'm like, here. It's kind of a rarity. It's almost expected that we came from somewhere else, but no, yeah, we're all born and raised, and yeah, there's not too many of our breed left.
Sure. And it's fascinating because I mean, there's a there's a lot of musicians who are also artists and artists who are also musicians. What is the connection between like the fine arts and the performing arts?
Hold on one second, Jack. You got to take that out, dude. Sorry. Can you repeat that, man?
There is a connection between the fine arts and the performing arts, because
right,
you're artistic, both musically and I guess through art.
I mean, I think all art is interconnected, and there's like certain art forms that I would have never guessed, that I would have never thought of as an art form necessarily. But my wife, she likes ballet, and we went to a ballet, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. What am I doing here? I better drink like 4 bottles of wine before. And I ended up walking out like that. It was amazing. It was actually one of the cooler experiences I've had. So, there's so many aspects to art and creativity and output in that sense. And I think they're all interconnected, and exploring as many as you can is important, because otherwise you're kind of living with one hand tied behind your back. There's so much that you can get out of all of it, or put into all of it if you prefer. But yeah, man, I've been blown away by some of the things that people pull off. So we try and incorporate as much as we can. Obviously, our main role is music, but there's other aspects that we try to bring to the table to make it more exciting, or to tap into other organic substance when we're doing it.
With the Rockzilla tour, it seems like you're performing, all the time, and I imagine that you didn't during COVID.
Yeah, no. Well, all we did during COVID was one live stream, but we did some music. I mean, we really tried. The funny thing is, we released the first of a double album like 3 weeks before all the shit hit the fan. So we had tons of music, and we had to kind of do what we could with it. So we ended up doing videos and a live stream and stuff like that. But yeah, it was bizarre after being on tour for 15 years to all of a sudden, and no one really knew when the end was in sight. That we'd get these false alarms. Oh, okay, we're gonna book a tour. Never mind that, we can't do that, because no one ever really knew when the whole thing was going to come back full circle. Where people could go on tour. So this is just our second tour post COVID, not post, but with living with it, I suppose.
Yeah.
And we did one in March and stuff, and they still had a bunch of the restrictions, you know, masks and things of that nature. There's none of that. So this is our first real tour, I would say, post COVID, where it kind of feels like some normalcy. And it's very exciting, man, to see everybody's faces again. And it was a lonely time for, I think, a lot of people, including myself. And, you know, this is what we do. So when that's taken from you or you can't do it, it's a bummer for everybody, I think.
I bet. And I was wondering because I think a lot of people remember Hollywood Undead, you know, when you first started out, you know. Are you getting new crowds, or are you getting, people who have been loyal to you over the years?
I mean, both. I mean, we've seen a lot of familiar faces and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, there, you know, you're always playing at people you don't recognize and stuff. And we do our best to, you know, I don't know. We've had fans that have gotten met at our shows that are now married and stuff. So we have a lot of long-term fans from back when, back in our heyday or the early days. And, you know, of course you see new faces every time, which is exactly what you want to see, because you want people listening to your music. And that makes things exciting for us. But I always get a kick out of like seeing somebody in the front row that I've been looking at for 14, 15 years. That always makes me pretty happy. And a lot of them have become friends and stuff, and that I talk to on a regular basis, and to see them grow, you know, from, you know, a 16-year-old kid to now they're married with their own kids. And, you know, to see that evolution of, on a personal level, of people who I would never have met if it wasn't through this band is always pretty fulfilling. It's cool.
I bet. So when you're on the road, who do you listen to? And who are you listening to now?
I actually don't listen to music on the road. By the time, you know, because we have to play, the last thing I want to do is hear more of it. So I'm not listening to anything. I'm just quiet. I just listen to the sounds of silence when I have the opportunity. Plus, we were on a bus with a bunch of dudes and a dressing with a bunch of dudes. So music is kind of silence at this point.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you're not on the road, do you listen to music, or is it just, business or?
Yeah, no, I mean, I listen to music when I'm home. I listen to a lot of like the stuff I like if I'm home. It's all depending on the circumstances. But I listen to a lot of Southern. I love the Allman Brothers, and I love Creedence, and I love some of the old school classic rock bands at home, because that's usually, you know, I'll be cooking or watching the Dodgers, things like that. So it depends on the scenario. If I'm driving, I usually listen to like 50 Cent or some gangster rap just to get road rage in case I got to pop off on someone, you know what I'm saying, Holmes? And then if it just, whatever the scenario might be, it kind of alters the. If I'm writing music, I like to listen to a lot of classical music, because I don't want melodies or lyrics, because that'll get in your head and mess with your stuff, but it kind of gets you in that phase. So it really just depends why I'm listening.
Cool. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Johnny.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry about my tour manager. He's a real.
No, he's fine.
No, he's. Well, I'm gonna fire him for offending you. I'll tell him that you told me to.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, man. Well, it's been my pleasure, buddy.
I'm looking forward to you at Hard Rock. Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll be there soon.
Okay. Thanks again.
Right,
See ya.
Please. Cheers to me. Nice to meet you, man.